Selecting objects will be the most common thing you do as you learn to work in Corel Draw. An object is either selected or deselected. You can tell an object is selected by the sizing handles that will appear around the outside and by the little note that, in this case, because it's textual, see? Or, for example, I will select that rectangle you can see at the little notes in the corner there. Selecting an object is fairly easy. You can click on the object to select it and click on the white of your working area to deselect the object. Now I can, as you see here, draw a marquee or simply click my mouse and whatever is inside of that blue dotted line, we called that a marquee, will be selected when I release my mouse. Now another semi-marquee runs over the top of other objects because the entire object is not inside. Only those objects that will be selected, and you can see them there by the little node that lets me know that all those objects there are selected. Click on the white to deselect. Now again, click drag of the whole area, and as you can see, I have selected all of those objects. Well, that's fairly easy, and of course, clicking on any object that you want as well. But do you remember, in our earlier lesson we turned off Treat All Objects as Fill? So, this little rectangle here, when I click in the middle, absolutely nothing happens because it has no fill color. So to select that, I want you to draw a marquee, or I have to click on the outline. So remember that when you have no fill, click on the outline color or draw a marquee around the outside. There are ways to select multiple objects without drawing a marquee, and that's our first option here. If I select my piece of text, hold my finger on the Shift key, I can now select another object. So only the text and this red rectangle I selected, you can see it on a little node. For deselect, I will do it again. Finger on Shift, the green one, the red one, and the text. So that's called multiply selecting, but of course I choose what will be a part of the selection by holding my finger on the Shift key. You can do the reverse. Hold your finger on the Shift key when you have a number of objects selected and click on the one you wish to deselect, click, and as you can see, you are deselecting from the group or from that selection. The next option is what we call the digger tool. Right now, if I go into View and Simple Wireframe, we look into Cilia. You will notice underneath this square there are two other squares, or I could select them because I'm now in View in Simple Wireframe mode. So if I click, or click as you can see on the outline, I can select or even go about and select. However, back here in Enhance mode, I can't click through the red square. However, I could draw a marquee around the outside like that and select them. There is another way also that you'll find very handy and very quick. Hold your finger on the Alt key. So I am holding my finger on the Alt key now, and as I click, automatically clicks through the top object to the next one. Now if I click again, you can see the other object is selected. Click again, and I'm going to my background area there. So I can click on my top object, finger on Alt, click again, it selects the one underneath. Click again, and the one underneath there. So it's digging us, so I called it a digital tool. All of the objects that are there. Well, the next one, Control A. Simply go to Control A and all objects on my screen will become selected. Tab is an interesting one. Click Tab. As I hit the Tab key, as you can see, it's automatically moving on to the next object, and in fact what it's doing is it's moving to the next object of selecting the next object in the stacking order. We will look at stacking order shortly, but effectively when you place an object on your working area, it is basically stacked, one on top of the other, on top of the other. No object can be on the same plane if you want to look at it like that. So Tab, 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 finger on Shift, and then hit Tab, and I can go back the other way, selecting the objects in the order with which they were placed onto my working area. Okay, well finally, just hit Escape, as I just did, to deselect. So why don't you now run through all of the options that you can see here. Just quickly make sure you feel okay with selecting and deselecting objects and move on.